Welcome to the next episode to my podcast, Talk with Olena. And today I have Shafoli Kapur with me today. Shafoli, how are you doing today?
I am doing very, very well, and even better right now that I'm chatting with you.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. We actually never chatted before, so this episode will be super useful and like just unveiling for me for sure, as the same as to all of our listeners. So I just can't wait to dive into your business journey and a life journey because we chatted for a couple of minutes before recording, and you said that you have a very unconventional way of like doing business and going through your business journey. So I really want to hear more about that. Can you tell me just a little bit about like your upbringing? When did you start your business? How long you've been licensed and all of that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. So I was not born in Canada. I was born in India. I moved to India when I was 25 years old. And life's been quite a struggle since then. No complaints. I love everything that I've experienced because I think that anything and everything that came my way has only made me the woman that I am today. And I really admire the woman I am today. I mean, obviously I still have a long way to go. I have to unlearn so much and unravel so much and learn so much more. But whatever I am, whatever I've accomplished so far, I'm really, really proud of it. My upbringing, so I was raised in India. I am the only daughter of my parents. Now, we'll talk about it if we need to at some point during, because I think that part of my life has also played a big role in shaping the woman that I've become now. And then I came to Canada with my ex-husband. Another story. So yeah, and then I started my journey of struggles. Before coming to Canada, I was always the protected one, always living with parents, never moved out of the house, and no financial troubles, always taken care of by the parents,
Mhm.
always got what we wanted. And then suddenly was exposed to this big cruel world, as we can say, and I had to make a name for myself. Growing up, I always seen my dad hustle very, very hard. He's a businessman himself. So since a little girl, I've seen my father work really, really hard to establish himself, his business, and hard work was the only thing I knew, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the opportunities that came my way.
Mhm.
I just only knew how to work hard. That's all I knew. I
I
had
can
no.
really relate to that because I have a very similar background. So even though I'm coming from, family of entrepreneurs and, I always been like provided for, like I didn't come from nothing, like to be fair. But I can really relate to what you're saying because that being said, the only thing I always knew was hustling and hard work because I saw how my parents hustled and how far they've come from like literally nothing to build all this life for themselves and their kids. And now I felt like that was so much pressure on me to do the same, even to another level, right? And that was only the way I knew it was through like a crazy hard hustle work. So yeah, I can really relate to that journey for
Yeah.
sure.
Sometimes when we look at people around us and we see all the big business jargons people are talking about and all the big things people are talking about, and especially in today's time and age when there's social media, you can get overwhelmed with all of that. Sometimes even I get overwhelmed with all of that, right? And then I
I
have to
think
go back
everyone does. Like it's
and
getting out of hands. Like it's crazy how overwhelming online world is.
exactly. But then I have to step back. So, and that's why, this podcast makes so much sense for us, for all of us hustlers, all of us business owners, because at some point we need to take a step back and tell ourselves, remind ourselves, it's okay. There's no race. We all are not competing. We all are in our own lanes. We all have our own destinies. We will do what is best for us, and we got to do it with full integrity, with full hard work, and that's it. And then we leave the outcome to God, to the universe, that things will fall in place, and they always do. If we look back and start joining the dots, things have always worked for us, right? Okay, in that particular moment maybe it feels, oh my God, it's so hard. Even sometimes when I come to work as a business owner, we wake up with 100 problems
Yeah.
every morning. And every day we don't come to work, but we come to solve problems. That's how I like to look at it. So in that moment, yes, it does feel like, oh my God, this just doesn't make sense. Everything is falling apart. Even right now in the immigration industry, it does feel like everything is falling apart with how the policies have changed. The rules are so tight. We're getting irrational refusals. There's not much programs available for people. It feels like everything is falling apart. But there's still something deep within me that keeps telling me it's all going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. I just gotta keep at it. I
Yeah,
just gotta
trust the
keep at
process.
it. And it's worked out in the past, it will work out in the future, and if it doesn't work out, there'll be something else that we'll get to do, and
Yeah,
that's okay.
yeah. No,
we
that's
should
great.
never we should never fear from starting all over again, because
Yes,
if we could do it now, we can do it again.
exactly. So you came to Canada, you were 25. It was hard for you. So then what happened next?
So then I worked here for a little bit. My ex-husband went to school. That's how we came here. And I was working at the time supporting the family, so supporting him. So I was bringing the money to the house so that we could run the house, and then he was studying. And then this went on for about 2 years, after which we had our first baby. I went on maternity leave, and that's when our financial struggles really began. My ex husband worked for a little bit after graduating. He did his MBA. He worked for a little bit, but things didn't work out the way we wanted things to work out, and started our financial struggles. That's when we decided, and I had a little baby, so I couldn't go back to work. So we decided that, we should start a business of our own. And coming from a business family, like I had a background of business, and my father was also our support. So we started a travel business here in Canada. And we did the business. I did the business. So let's just talk about myself. We keep the ex husband out from here. But we both started the business. And then I worked in the business for a few years, for about 4 or 5 years, realizing we were barely able to make our ends meet. Life was really hard. There were months we didn't even have money to pay our mortgages or rents or whatever. There was debt piling on. So we were in a difficult situation. And that's when I decided, you know what, this is not how life can work. And by the time we had 2 children. So I decided this is not how life can work, and we gotta figure out a path. We gotta figure out something else. So that's when I decided that I'm going to venture into immigration, and that too was basically my father's advice, because at that time immigration was picking up in Canada. I mean, immigration has always been a very important aspect of Canadian economy, but I think at that particular point back in 2015, 16, it was really picking up. So then I said, okay, let me get the license to practice immigration. And a lot of people in our travel business would also ask us if we could help them, but because we didn't have the license, we couldn't do it. So I decided I'm going to venture into this, and then we'll see how that goes. So I got my license. I started my program, and then I got my license, and I started practicing it. Obviously, extremely overwhelmed. Looked around for some support, didn't get any support. You know how sometimes in our industry it can be, we live with a scarcity mindset sometimes, that, if somebody else succeeds, they're going to take away from our success. I didn't know that term at that point. It's
Of
only
course.
much later, when I started walking on my spiritual awakening journey, I realized what an abundance mindset and what an scarcity mindset is. So didn't get any support, no mentors, no support, nothing. I started going out to networking events. I started going to KPIC for the seminars. And slowly and gradually, I started picking up cases on my own. I used to be scared, very nervous, but I would take 1 or 2 cases here and there, and I started doing them. I also started consulting part time at another firm. That lady she was an immigration consultant, and she was going on maternity.
Hmm.
And she needed a consultant who could take care of her clients in her absence when she was on maternity. So I'm really, really grateful to her for giving me that opportunity. So I started going to her firm when she went on maternity. So in her absence, I would do some hours during the week at her firm as a visiting consultant. Didn't enjoy working there as much, because the kind of cases that she was doing weren't the kind of cases that I wanted to do. I uh, I didn't I did get a lot of exposure. I got a lot of hands-on experience of talking to the clients that I was missing in my practice because I didn't have that many clients at that time. So, sometimes you just learn on the job, right? So I would constantly meet her clients, and to answer questions for those clients, I would research the answers, right? And because I wasn't doing it full time, I had a lot of time on hand for me to go back and research and then get back to them on what needs to be done. Or even if I was doing an application for her, I had enough time to research. But the fact that I had that business, that work coming to me, gave me a lot of exposure
Of course.
how to do things and how to research the operational manuals and stuff like that. So I did that for about 6 to 8 months and didn't enjoy it so much because of the kind of clients that were coming. It was a little bit of uh, a scary environment. There were a lot of people with criminal records and stuff like that, and that would just scare me. And so I decided that you know what, I've had enough exposure. Let me try doing it on my own. And that's when I started I said I'm going to independently do it, and slowly and gradually started picking up clients. And with God's grace, I also started getting clients. I wasn't marketing at this point. I wasn't, it was just word of mouth.
So which year was that when you like
This is
fully?
2018, 19.
Okay.
Right. So 18, 19. And up until I think 19, early on 19, I worked with them. And then 19, I did on my own. And then 2020, COVID happened. Again, my business was not super flourished. I was getting clients, but it was only word of mouth. We did have a good client base from our travel business. When we started spreading the word about my immigration work, then people started, I started getting business without having to do any marketing, any advertisements, or anything. I spent some $500 to even build my website at that time. Like, you didn't have the money to do all that, right? So then in 2020, I remember I was sitting outside, and I used to be on TikTok at that time, and I used to make the silly videos, those
Yeah.
crazy, funny videos. I used to make those. And one day I was sitting at my son's skating classes. It was a February, I remember, I think a 12th or a 13th of February. And I was sitting outside my son's skating classes. And I'm thinking to myself, I waste all my time making all these crazy videos on TikTok. Why don't I start making something about immigration? And something happened that day. Somebody called me to tell me that their case got ruined by an unauthorized consultant. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go on TikTok and I'm going to talk about how you should not work with unauthorized consultants. So here I go. I tell my husband at that time, ex-husband now, that you sit and watch the kid. I'm going to go to the car and I'm going to make a video. And he's like, okay, she just wastes her time. And I went, he didn't know what I'm doing. Okay. He thought I'm making another crazy video. So I went to my car and I started recording this video. No script, nothing. And I just randomly made this video, made a few times just because I wanted to get. At that time, TikTok, you could only make a few seconds. You couldn't make like 10 minutes videos
Yeah.
like today. So I had to fit everything in that 1 minute. And I'm a talker. I can talk. And I'm saying, talking and talking, and it would never fit in that 1 minute. And I made it multiple times. And then finally, I got it right. So I got it within that 1 minute, whatever I wanted to say, and I posted it. The first day, nothing happened to that video. Second day, nothing happened to that video. I didn't even have a lot of followers. I had some, maybe 300 followers. And then boom, the third day, the video got 100,000 views.
Yeah.
Like, how?
Like this
And
can
then
happen.
I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Let's start doing this. And then I started making videos. Didn't get a lot of traction after that, after my first video. Then COVID happened and everything shut down. I remember I was traveling to India at that time, and I was going for a vacation to visit my family, and I decided I'm going to use this time to continue making videos. And at that time during COVID, there were a lot of policy changes that were coming. So I kept making videos about all those new policies and all of that without worrying whether I'm getting any views or not, I'm getting likes or not. I just kept making videos. And then I kept doing that. And that started my journey of making TikTok videos from there. I started getting clients from there. I started getting consultations from there. The business started picking up, and that's it. Since then, it's
Yeah.
been ever evolving journey of just upwards and onwards. And I'm so grateful to that day when I decided to go on TikTok and make that video.
That's such a great story because we're really truly living in this crazy time when just your social media presence, like one video can like literally change your life, right? And it's sometimes it's a little bit sad in a sense of like that social media is so powerful and times are so different, but it's such a huge opportunity for a lot of business owners, and immigration or not, just to really really have that life-changing moment, but also to have that people have access to you to get help, right? That people know that they have all these consultants that can help them. So we really live in this time, and I think, yeah, social media is absolutely great.
Personally feel social media can be a big nuisance as well. But I also feel that the good part of social media is that, the client gets to know you.
Yeah,
They get to know the person you are behind that camera before they even come and meet you. It's about
exactly.
building that trust with the client. It's about them feeling that comfort. There's so many consultants out there, right? But how is it that people still know who to call or who their consultant is going to be, despite this huge, market out there where there's so many consultants right now? There's so many. I remember when I started, there used to be only 3 people on TikTok who would make videos. It was me, there was another person from Vancouver,
Yep.
and another person from Edmonton. It was just the three of us.
Yep.
But then now everybody is on social media, right? But still the clients know who they want to work with just by their social media presence, because they can connect with those people. And it's always about that authentic connection that you make with the creator, and that's how you build relationships.
100%. Yeah. I remember when I started Instagram like in 2017, for the same thing, it's just for me was Instagram. I was like literally the only one. Like there was no, I would do hashtag express entry, and I'm like, I started that hashtag. Like that, there was nobody like doing that.
Yeah.
Now it's so many, but still, people get, as you said, people get to know you and they pick whomever it just fits their personality, fits their, so because people who want to work with you are not probably the same who want to work with me or with my husband or whomever, right? So it's just they get to experience who actually would be a good fit to work, and it's building that trust. It's so great. So tell me a little bit about your business now. And I know I just want to say that, point out that Shafoli's LinkedIn tagline says, I'm just looking at it right now, on a journey of spiritual awakening. So tell me a little bit about that and how that's also, like, I'm sure business had a lot of things to do with that, right? With that shift. Because I read your LinkedIn like all the time, every day, and you really post a lot about like purpose, about, really living life fully. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes, yes. So I do live my life with a purpose, and I've not always been like that. Again, it doesn't make me wrong or right. There's nothing right or wrong in where you are in your journey. It's just that you act out of your level of awareness. That's how I truly believe. There are no rights or wrongs in life. Any decision you do, anything that you do in life is based on your awareness of that particular situation or thing at that moment. So, like I mentioned when we started talking. Okay, so let me just tell you a little bit about my business. I'm very happy with my business. Yes, there are lots of problems. Yes, can I do better? Of course I can do better. Can I have better processes? Of course I can have better processes. But do I regret anything that I've done so far? No. Have I come a long way? Absolutely come a long way. Started with one person. I have a team of 13 amazing women working with me right now. All women team, by the way. I'm extremely passionate about women empowerment. Not that I don't like men, but there's something that I have special for women in my heart. Now let's talk about how this shift happened. When I started the conversation, I told you a little bit about how I'm the only child now. I lost my brother when I was 21 years old, and he was 18 years old. So he was my only sibling. He died in a bike crash. Life's devastated. You can imagine what can happen when suddenly you lose your family, like everything that he meant to me, for my parents and for myself. I was in India at that time, still in university, just doing my final year, and I didn't understand what it means to grieve. I didn't know what it means to grieve the loss of your family, and I don't think so my parents knew that either. For us it was a loss, and we had to just live our lives now from here on. And I think a lot of people don't know in today's world what grieving actually means and how important it is to grieve, because we don't realize that those traumas then make us into people who we become eventually, right? if we don't work on ourselves. We have to continuously work on ourselves. And everything we do in our life is based on our past traumas. And we all have traumas. We all have had something or the other, more or less, in our lives that shape us into becoming who we are today. And if we don't work on ourselves and don't live this life with a purpose, we will only keep deteriorating and never change ourselves, right? For better. So that happened. And then I got married soon after, and I came to Canada, and then I had my children, and I was living my life. A lot of problems, like I was living with a constant fear that what if something happens to me? What if I fall sick? What if my children fall sick? What if my husband falls sick? What if we don't have money to eat food? So somewhere I was constantly blocking my energies because I was constantly living in fear that things are not going to work out. I had this blueprint in my head and I wanted to work and I wanted my life to be as per the blueprint. But whenever things didn't work like that, I would go into a full blown anxiety attack, panic attack. And I would think that we're not able to do these things because there's a problem. Constantly, questioning my word, constantly thinking I'm not good enough, constantly thinking of other people, how they're doing better than me. And I didn't like that life. I didn't enjoy living the way I was living. And I knew that there was something wrong, but I just couldn't figure out what was wrong. And then a few years ago, about 3 years ago, unfortunately, things weren't working in my marriage either. And I decided to pull the trigger on my marriage, and I decided that I can't be in that marriage anymore. It's toxic, and I can't live like that anymore. And I wasn't happy. And when that happened, my life came to a standstill again. It wasn't hard. I had 2 kids and I didn't know what to do. Of course, I had a business by then. Of course, I was working really hard. Of course, I'd already, sort of moved into my own business, and my ex-husband was doing his own stuff and I was doing my own thing. And I would question myself, why did this happen to me? Why did I lose my brother? And then why did I have to go through this pain all over again of losing my marriage? I was married for 15 years. And I started questioning this to me constantly. I had the choice of sitting at home and just, just thinking that life has come to an end, or even moving back to India to my parents, because now it's so hard, right? But I kept asking myself and started joining the dots of why all of this is happening, right? And I started realizing of how things evolved in the last 15 years for me, and how all of this was always predestined for me to decide to quit that business and then move into my own business, for me to suddenly start TikTok, and for me to grow the business to the point that now I'm financially independent and I can take care of myself even if I'm not with my ex-husband. And how all of that evolved, I started feeling that it's all making sense. So there's some higher power that's doing everything in the background, and I'm just worrying and stressing about things that are not even in my control. Why? And I think that's when something happened and something triggered for me, that I wanted to go deeper into how I have to stop living a life without fear. I have to stop worrying about what's going to happen and only focus on what has happened and what is going to happen in the future, and only live in the present moment and do my karma, do what I'm doing, and then leave everything else to the universe, to the God, to whoever was actually working in the background. My intention right from the beginning, when I started my business, was always to do the best. Like, I think that you just born with that trait of being authentic, or being genuine, or being working in the best interest of other people, right? So when I started my business, it was never out of malice. Like, I never had the intention of cheating my clients, or not doing something right, or cheating the government. I always wanted to work with integrity. I remember the people in the beginning when I started my business would come to me and ask me to do an LMI for them and find them employers. And I know at that time a lot of people would sell LMIs. They do it even now, but at that time also they would do. And I used to be really scared. One, I didn't have that kind of network. Two, I was really scared to do any of those things. So I would always tell those people, I'll get back to you. I'd never say, no, 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 I'm not going to do it. Or I would never say, oh, I'm scared to do it. I would say, I'll get back to you. Right? When they ask me, could you do me an LMI? Could you get me an LMI? How much is it? Or this is my profile and nothing else works for me but an LMI work. So I would tell them, oh, I'll get back to you. But I would never get back to them because I didn't know how to say no. And number two, I didn't have that network. And I was so scared. So I would say, I'll get back to you, but I never got back. Slowly and gradually, those people, obviously, they understood. They would call me, follow up 1 or 2 times, and I'd always say, oh, I'll get back to you, I'll get back to you. I never got back to them. But I would also never say no to them. But slowly and gradually, I had that thing in somewhere deep within that I'm never going to sell LMIs. I'm never going to do that stuff.
Obviously.
So then gradually started getting clients that I wanted, right? So they would not ask for LMIs. They would be the LMI people. Or even if I was doing LMIs, they were for people who had their employers. They were working with them. They were international students. So I started building my practice slowly and gradually on that. And then slowly and gradually started getting that courage to say no to people. So then when people started asking me, I would tell them, no, I can't do it for you. I don't have any employers. I can't do it for you. I can't do it for you. So then I transitioned from saying, I'll get back to you to, I don't know I can't do it for you. Or I don't know anybody who can do it for you. I once had a call during that time from another consultant, and she called me that, Shafoli, how much do you charge for LMIs? I'm like, what do you mean, how much do you charge for LMIs? She's like, if somebody needs an LMI, how much would you charge? 20,000, 30,000. I'm like, no, I don't do all that. She's like, but then how is your business even running then?
Yeah, exactly. How's it?
I'm like, because I do get clients otherwise. But then I realized at that time, you get the clients the way you want to run your business. It is just a matter of saying yes or no. If you choose to say no, then you just completely close off that side of the business and you open doors for another side of the business. At that time, I didn't understand that. But over a period of time, I realized when I was saying no to something, I was saying yes to so many other things.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And that's how I only started attracting clients who I wanted to serve. I was ready to serve, and not the ones that I didn't want to serve. This went on and on. And again, I repeat, I did not know what I was doing at that time. So I was running my business with a purpose, but I didn't know how that was happening, right? I was just going with my inner gut feeling. I was just doing whether it was out of fear, whether it's out. But the biggest thing that I knew right from day one when I started my business was that I was never doing it for money. Because whenever you start doing your business for money is when the greed starts creeping in. I sometimes say no to certain clients, and somebody will tell me, our colleagues sometimes in the industry will tell me, if you're going to say no, somebody else will do it. And back in the day, I would think to myself, yeah, but that's greed, right? If you don't want to do it, if your gut is telling you don't do it, then say no, don't do it. Because that one client that you say yes to will bring 10 similar clients. And then you will start working out of greed more than out of your passion or your purpose.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's very hard to say no. But unless you say no, you will never attract the right things in your business or in your life. And you know what? Life is no different than business. They're all people say they're and I know that this is debatable, and I know that this is an unconventional and unpopular opinion, but I don't think there's a work-life balance. I think that there is work and there is life. There's no balance. And they both are interconnected, especially for business owners. There could be some days with 80% work and 20% life, and then there could be some days with 80% life and 20% work. But there can never be a balance.
No, but I think it depends what we all understand behind the balance, right? Because the way I understand when I say work-life balance is that it's not in my brain, balance doesn't mean like 50-50. It's the way I understand it, it's a harmony. So for me, like you said it absolutely right, is that it's interconnected, right? So it's not, I don't perceive it like work is work and life is life. No, this is just life, right? For me, work is a part of like just who you are. It's a part of me, and it's not even like 80-20%. This is all like 100%. And work and business like occupies 100% of me because it's so important to me. It doesn't mean that I work all the time. It doesn't mean that I think about work all the time, but I do. I wake up in the morning and I'm excited to think. Like I wake up with like, oh, I talked yesterday with that client, and but it's me because I love that, right? So that harmony, like what you said, is intertwined. Like It is. And I think we run into problems when we try to divide those, because then you're like having this kind of a negative connotation behind work, that work is bad and let's try to minimize it, and life is good, but it's good only when you don't work. And I don't like that, because I think you should be enjoying your work every second of it. Like you should, and it's not being said that it's always easy. It's not, but you should generally be like happy with what you do, happy with your everyday. You should be in that harmony, and whatever it look like. I work on Saturday mornings, not because I have to work on Saturday mornings, because like I actually like it. Like I do my marketing, like my copywriting, my like whatever. Like last Saturday, I just redid my website just because I felt like it, and it's about that harmony, right? So yeah, I think it's depends on like what people think about, like 50-50 or whatever, like because it's about that, finding that really harmony, and like having work being so enjoyable that, but it takes you, like for me it took years to craft my work into that something that I would enjoy, because when I started my business I loved it and I enjoyed it, but then after about 5 years or 4 years 5 years I stopped enjoying it, and I was like, well, I'm the boss of my life, so I need to make it to the way that it becomes enjoyable again. And I made it that way, right? But it's something that we need to understand, that we have ownership of that. Like it's always evolving. Work, life, marriage, relationships, it's always evolving, and it is up to you to make it work for you, right?
Absolutely. And like I said at one point, that's so whatever we do at whatever point in our life is based on our awareness and the circumstances and situations of that time. And as you keep growing, as you keep evolving, things change, circumstances change, and we should adapt. We make things according to how it fits for us at that time. For example, like you said that, initially you enjoyed it and then there came a time when you weren't enjoying it, but then there came a time when you evolved and you started enjoying it again. In my case, it's been a little different. I've always enjoyed it. There's never been a point in my life where I've ever felt that I'm not enjoying work now.
Mhm.
In fact, I say this to my team all the time. Whenever in the morning when you wake up, you even get this slightest thought of texting to say or find a reason, how do I call in sick? Is the day you're not enjoying work? Is the day you shouldn't be here anymore? My team should be coming to office only and only if they truly want to be here. Because
Yeah,
it's not
I
that
love that.
if you come here, again, we need to accept this hard fact. And I say this to my team all the time, and they know, and I'm brutally honest with everybody in that part of life. Nobody is dependent on anybody. Nobody's life stops for anyone. So if anybody thinks that they're doing a favor, if I think I'm doing a favor by hiring my team, I'm wrong. Very, very wrong. And if my team thinks that my business is running because of them, that's wrong as well. It's all teamwork. We're all together as a team. But then any day, if one person decides to leave, things still can't work, move on. Right? So that's the hard fact of life, that we all have to accept that life moves on. When I lost my brother, my life moved on, right? It didn't stop. It didn't stop for my parents. It didn't stop for me. But what we can do by constantly being negative and constantly thinking about what has happened is when we stop our lives. We bring it to a screeching halt. But it's not because somebody has gone or moved on. It's because we choose to bring our life to a halt because of our mindset. So coming back to my business, so when I started, I would pick up calls at like 10 o'clock, midnight. I would do it,
We
right?
all been
And
there, all been there.
yeah, we have to. This is called hustling. How do you get the business if you're not available for your clients? But then as time has evolved, as the clients have increased, as the volume of work has increased, as my other commitments have increased. I don't know if you know, I also ran as an MPP in the
Yes.
provincial elections, right? So now I also have that another side of my business or my life where I'm very active in politics and I want to run again in the future. So obviously now my time is divided. And over time, I've evolved. Now, does that mean I'm always available for my clients whenever they call me on my cell phone? Maybe not, right? But does that mean that I don't want to work in the best interest of my clients? No. Does that mean my intentions have changed? No. I just have to manage my time better. I just have to evolve. So if I didn't have a calendar at that time and everything was working from
Yeah.
here, I need to have a structure to my day so that I can get everything done. But that would also mean that a lot of my clients will not get me the moment they want. They might have to wait a few days, right? And I had a very hard time accepting that in the beginning, because I would tell myself, oh my God, then they don't need me. They would come to me only because I was available for them, but then they don't need me anymore because I'm not available for them right when they need me. Then I also have realized that, and then I had to, so, I do a lot of inward talking. Like I talk to myself a lot and I go inwards and I have to constantly keep convincing myself. And I think that's what really living a life with purpose and living a holistic life is. Instead of looking for outside people or outside world to come constantly, make you sort of make you understand or talk you out of something, you have to talk yourself out of things. And that's what is the true meaning of moving on in life is, or evolving is, right? So I have to remind myself, they come to you for a reason, because you have a certain knowledge or you've provided them a certain kind of experience, and that's why they come to you. So if their situation is necessary and you're not available for them, they will go to another person, and that's fair. It's unfair for me to expect that they should wait for me to speak to them. If
Exactly.
their need is urgent and I'm not available for them, their world shouldn't stop, and it doesn't stop my world either,
Yeah.
right? Because now maybe our paths are different. They go on a different path. Our paths were together up until a certain time, and now our paths have changed, and they're meant to work with somebody else, and in return I'll probably get another client who trusts me, or who wants me to do their job, who has more time and can wait for me to speak to them. But I think that state of mind, to get to that state of mind, takes a lot of years of belief in yourself, and belief in the higher power, and believing that whatever is meant for you will happen,
Yeah.
and you don't have to run after it.
I think is like as you were talking, I really realized that, all the things that you're saying about if I'm not available to a client, like what if they go to another person? What if, like, all of these things, right? Like that go through consultants had a lot of consultants, especially in their first 3 years of practice, like they all live through it. And this is all, as you said, like scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset. And as you were talking, I literally starting like in my head identifying like some RCICs that I talked through like in the last week. And I'm like, okay, like, yeah, that person has a scarcity mindset. And I was like, I wonder how I can help, because even like awareness of that, like, I'm not saying to change that, it doesn't change overnight, right? But awareness of that like this is like scarcity mindset versus, what abundance mindset is, like awareness of that would really help them. And I think I just came to it like just naturally, and it took longer. But if somebody told me this, it would have been faster. Do you have any like direction, maybe like any resources or anything like that, where they can like just kind of dig deeper onto like how to get away from a scarcity mindset? Is there anything, I don't know, podcasts you listen to or anything like that?
I do a lot of book reading, and I do a lot of, because I'm, like I said, that I'm also a life coach.
A
So
lot of
I
careers. Shafoli
Not a
has a
career.
lot
But
of
I've done
careers.
all of this that I'm doing is, and I'm being very, very honest, and I'm being very authentic. Anything and everything that I've done so far has only and only been for my own personal growth. When I decided that I'm going to venture into life coaching, it was because I wanted to grow in as an individual. I wanted to become a better human being. I wanted to be able to connect with people at a deeper level. And that just became a career for me. And if I can help people, I get, if you see my consultations, they're so holistic. I don't talk about, like, I literally am in my consultations telling my clients, if it's meant for you, it will happen. And then I know sometimes my clients think this woman is crazy, man. I mean, she's not even telling us what we're going to do. And then I get clients come back to me weeping. You said it, and it happened.
Yeah.
I've seen with so many clients, Olena, you won't believe. If there's a client with a negative energy and a negative mindset, they will have so many problems in their applications. Constantly additional requests, not getting invitation, or delays in processing, delay in getting the decision. But people who are positive and who only put positive energy and who trust and who believe, 3 months, application approved. No problem, even with complications. And this is time and again, I've experienced it. And I say to my clients, if you're going to put negative energy into, and sometimes when they annoy me, I go to the extent of saying, listen, the day you walked into my office, your application became my application. It's not your application anymore, because it's very simple and straightforward. No, my growth is directly proportional to the success of my client. If my client is going to success, I'm going to get success. I'm going to get more clients. I'm here in the business of getting approvals. I'm not here in the business of getting refusals. And that's why I never market my approvals on social media. I don't know if you've ever noticed it. I never go and do those calls that people do.
Yeah.
You got an I don't do it. I find that this is the reason they came to us. I have many, many, many crazy approvals under my belt. And I think I feel immensely proud of that. But that joy I share with my team and my client directly, because that's what the purpose of the whole of this relationship was, right? So I never market those. Again, there's nothing wrong in it. That's just me as an individual,
Yeah.
and other people are allowed to do what they want to do, their way of doing business. But what I want to say is that, so the client comes to me and I tell them, listen, I'm on your side. I literally say these things to them. I'm not working against you. I'm working for you. So you got to trust me. And if you can't trust me, then there are many other consultants out there. I'm not saying don't ask me questions. Ask me a million questions. I'm here to go through every single document, every single form, everything with you in my office. But if despite all of that, you will have that little tinge of distrust, this relationship won't evolve the way it's supposed to, and there will be problems in the relationship. And the day you walk into my office, this application is my application. And if you're going to pass on negative energy to my application, I'm not going to be happy. And you don't want your consultant to be angry. You want your consultant to be happy. And then they understand. And this is what I get the most from my clients. You know what? Just because the positive energy you radiate on the application, we feel so calm and relaxed. Sometimes clients will get everything done, but they just want to talk to me because they want some positive energy, because they're feeling too negative and they just want me to tell them a few good things so that they can feel positive about it. Not bragging, but that is just telling you how I've built my practice on energy, of making sure that when somebody walks into this office, they're not just here for a short term goal. I always say this to my clients. PR is not your ultimate goal. That's not your destination. It's one small milestone in the bigger picture. You
Yeah.
have so much more to do in life. Stop looking for shortcuts. Stop coming here and telling me I ran. So I had a client that come to my office and said, Shafoli, I ran a payroll and right now I'm working on cash here and I'm doing this. I'm like, okay, tell me something. You've been here 5 years. What did you learn in this country? What's your skill set as of today? Nothing. I'm like, so you wasted 5 years of your life? You think your life ends at PR? What are you going to do after? How are you going to feed your family? How are you going to be a provider? People don't think of all that. People think of short term.
Yeah.
Today I need to get this client. Today I need to sell this LMI. Today I need to do this. No, look at the bigger picture. It doesn't end at that one client. It doesn't end at that one application. It doesn't end at that one, PR. There's so much more to life, to learn, to evolve,
Yeah.
to share with the world. I started this community thing, and was an eye opener for me. I did this give back to the community. So I decided that April is a Sikh Heritage Month, and in the month of April, I'm going to I have people donate food, so we can donate it to the food bank at the end of the month. I got so many clients who came to my office who got me chocolates and something or the other just because they got approvals. Not even one person donated, because we don't think about others. We only think about ourselves. We don't think about the bigger picture. We don't think about how it's important to uplift our community.
Yeah.
If we uplift our community, that is how we will get uplifted.
Yes, exactly. And can you tell me, going back to your, like, I really like how you treat like your practice, like in terms of energies and, how you talk to your clients, like it's about bigger picture. Can I ask you a funny question? Maybe we can end with a funny question, because I have it all the time, that not all the time, but like pretty often, once in a while, clients ask me to submit applications on certain days because the stars aligned, because however, whatever they go by, right? And we do that. So, like I really have deep respect for that, even though my husband is like always laughing, but like we do that because I really can relate to that. Do you have anything like that in your
A
company?
lot, a lot. And we
No, but do
respect
you
that too.
personally, like, do you personally?
No, 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 no. I don't
Okay.
do that. For me, all days are equal.
Okay.
Maybe back in the day when I was not evolved enough and I didn't have that knowledge and I wasn't thinking on those lines, I didn't understand. I was living a life out of fear all the time. Yes, maybe I would have done all these crazy things, but not anymore. But yeah, no. For me, every day it's about what your intention is, where
Yes.
you're coming from. If your intention is good, it'll never go wrong. It will never go wrong. There could be hiccups along the way. There could be obstacles. There could be hurdles, but that's for your benefit because I always ask myself when I have an issue, whether it's an application or personal life or professional life or anything, I ask myself, what is this situation trying to teach me?
Mhm.
And remember, if you don't learn from that situation, the universe will keep repeating the same situation and again and again and again and
Yeah.
again until you learn from it.
Yeah.
So I always ask myself, the moment I'm in a difficult situation, I ask myself, and I'm frustrated. Of course, I'm human. I have feelings, I have emotions. I get frustrated, I get stressed. I ask myself, what is the universe trying to teach me? Learn it, Shafoli. Otherwise, you're going to experience it again. And another thing we do a lot in the office is I was going to say it, I completely lost the chain of thought. It was
Okay.
such an interesting thought I wanted to share with you.
Any
Oh my God.
superstitions? Nothing like that?
Nothing about superstition, but about this of these hurdles and obstacles.
That's all right.
Yeah, no, completely
It
lost
will
the chain
come
of thought.
back.
But
It
that was
will
a
come
very
back.
interesting thing I wanted to share. If I remember, I'll tell
Yes,
you.
it will come back. Well, thank you so much for your time today. And it was such an interesting conversation. And honestly, like it's really, really interesting to put personality to social media presence because I've been following you like mainly on LinkedIn though. I'm not really like going TikTok much, but I know you're on Instagram as well. Like I've seen you, but like on LinkedIn, that's where I mainly read your posts. And it's so interesting to put like an actual personality to the written posts. Like to it's just really funny how social media works. Are you coming to NCAC in May?
Yes, I am.
Yay! I'll meet you there. We'll have some lunch together. Let's plan that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd love to meet you in person.
Well, thank you so much for today. Thank you for your time. And everyone who has been watching this, thank you for watching. And I'm going to put Chipoli's LinkedIn down below. Please support her on her political journey, immigration, business journey, and spiritual journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Olena. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you.